Joining us tonight live is Washington State Representative Adam Smith, ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee. Thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Well, thanks for giving me the chance.
Yeah, we know that you support Israel's right to defend itself against Iran, and you have said recently that the United States should also be staying on the sidelines of this Israel-Iran conflict. So just first, what are the risks of direct military involvement in your view?
Well, getting into a war is always risky. And if we attack Iran directly, that's what we would be doing. We'd be starting a war with Iran, and Iran would absolutely respond. We have a number of assets in the region. We have military bases in Qatar, Bahrain, Iraq, Syria, and the UAE. Those bases would be under fire from Iran. It's almost a guarantee that we would suffer U.S. casualties, and you don't know where the war would go from there. So we should not stumble into a war with Iran. It's not in our best interest to do that.
The president says that he's going to decide now about a possible military strike against Iran within the next 2 weeks. So what role should Congress play in that decision? Should there be congressional approval?
Yes, there should. There's no legal justification for the president to strike Iran. And it's complicated, but Article 2 of the Constitution does give the president inherent right of self-defense. But Iran is not attacking us at the moment, and there is no AUMF that would cover this attack. So if we were to attack Iran, under the strict reading of the Constitution, it should require congressional approval. Now, historically, presidents have found 100 different ways around that requirement, but it doesn't change the Constitution or the law. A decision to go to war with Iran should require congressional approval.
Do you think it's something that Congress is going to insist on?
I doubt it with this Congress, with the Republicans in charge in the House and the Senate. I suspect they will bow to whatever President Trump wants. But it's also important to understand what is the purpose. I mean, the stated purpose to some extent has been about Iran's nuclear program. But I've been getting briefs on this issue for almost a decade now. It is harder to simply knock out Iran's nuclear program with military attacks than most people would think. So probably wouldn't even be successful in that goal. And I certainly don't think we should be in the business of regime change, of trying to pick who should lead Iran. So we need a clearer statement from the president of what it is that he would even hope to accomplish by us joining in this military attack.
What do you think are the most effective diplomatic strategies in this moment? What do you think the U.S. should prioritize that will address Iran's nuclear ambitions?
Yeah, well, I think the president, President Trump has been correct. He has been trying to negotiate with Iran. At the same time, I do understand where Israel is coming from. I mean, it's always important to remember that Iran has been, founded on the principle of the destruction of Israel. They've had that as their stated policy for decades now, and they've supported terrorist groups like Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis to try and accomplish that. So I understand where Israel is coming from. What President Trump should try to do is what he says he is trying to do: negotiate with Iran. Iran is now in a very vulnerable position. So force them to the table, force them to give up their nuclear program, consent to inspections. I think also it's worth discussing Iran's support for those terrorist groups and their ballistic missile program. Iran's backed into a corner. They should negotiate at this point.
Congressman, what do you think is going to happen next? And what is your message for your constituents, for the people of Washington, where we have such a big military presence here? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, on the second part first, like I said, my message is let's send a clear signal to the president and Congress that we don't need to go to war with Iran. We do not need another war in the Middle East. As far as what I think is going to happen, President Trump is not terribly predictable. He tends to listen to the last person he spoke to and follow off of his own whims. And I'm worried from some of the rhetoric that I've heard that he is leaning more towards military action. I mean, this despite the fact that he ran for office saying that he was going to, well, he said he was going to end the war in Ukraine on day one, which was an idiotic thing to say and clearly not possible. But he also said, he was going to, bring about peace in the Middle East. He promised a lot. He now seems to be drifting in the other direction, moving back towards engaging in these conflicts. And I think that would be dangerous. So I'm worried that the president is going to decide to get us involved in this war.
Well, he says he will decide in the next 2 weeks, so we're going to be waiting and watching, and we hope to talk with you again really soon as this moves forward. Congressman Smith, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate your time tonight.